Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mind the Mental Monday. I hope everybody has had a wonderful week this past week, and I hope that you're looking as forward to this Mind the Mental Monday as I have been. It's been a good couple of weeks coming in right after the new year, so always just very excited. So tonight we have a topic that we're talking about, and we're talking about minding the mental while feeling stuck. And I know that I am not the only one who has ever in my life been in a situation where I felt like I was stuck, right? I think many of us go through periods in our lives where we feel stuck, where we feel like, we're unable to, do the things that we really want to do and feel like we are kind of stuck in a situation that we don't necessarily really want to be in. And so, what I like for you to do tonight is in the chat, in addition to just, letting us know where you're tuning in from, also put in the chat, you know, yes or no, do you feel stuck? Are you at a place in life and being stuck can, you can be stuck in a variety of ways, right? You can be stuck in a job. You can be stuck, feel like you're stuck in a relationship. There's a lot to the notion of feeling stuck. And so I really want to kind of just dive into that notion because I believe that even if you're even if you're in a space where you feel stuck, you don't have to stay there. So I hope that you, as always, have something to write with. And if you don't, you can always catch the replay on my YouTube page, which I hope everybody is subscribed to. Benita Weathers 329 on YouTube. Make sure that you go and subscribe to my YouTube page. In fact, you could do that even now. Um, just go ahead and do that. All right. So I'm looking forward to this topic tonight. All right, so let's just kind of get it going. So as I said before, there are times in our lives where I feel like many of us have been in a situation or a predicament where we feel stuck, where we feel like we're in something that we really don't want to be in, and yet don't feel like we have the means or the wherewithal even to do what is necessary to move ourselves out of those types of situations. And I feel like very often when we are in those situations of feeling like we're stuck, it really wears on us mentally. It wears on us because we of all the messages that we're sending to ourselves that make us feel like being stuck is a place where we have to stay and not get out. But I want to encourage you tonight that there is hope. There is hope for getting unstuck. So if we look at a definition of, and those of you on Instagram can see my shirt. Y'all can see that, this is wishful thinking because my team didn't win yesterday. So I just had to pull out the old gear and just just dream, about us making that mark again. But I have hope that next season we gonna get where we need to be. All right. But shout out to the Baltimore Ravens. You did your thing. I'm proud of you guys. And yes, you are still the best. And we look forward to a great next season. All right. But back to the topic at hand. So So the definition of stuck, there are various definitions of stuck. One definition is unable to move from a particular position or place, unable to change a situation, set in a particular position, place, or way of thinking. I want you to hold on to that one. Way of thinking. It's set in a particular way of thinking. Um, and then synonyms are blocked, gridlocked, and jammed. Those are all definitions of stuck. And a lot of times we feel like we are unable to move from a particular position or place. And it, but it all starts with our way of thinking. So when we are set in a particular way of thinking, that is what causes us more often than not to be unable to move from a particular position or place, right? So getting out of sticky situations is not something that we can just sort of dream about and do nothing about. Getting out of a sticky situation requires both strategy and movement. And very often we sort of get stuck because we feel like we don't have the wherewithal to come up with a strategy that will allow us to move. Um, and if you think about it this way, if you just using a couple of examples. So, for example, a rodent that gets stuck on a glue trap is going to do one of two things. They're either going to wiggle their way and pull themselves off the glue trap, and in so doing probably risk experiencing some pain. They might tear some hair off. That's probably painful. Anybody that's gotten any kind of like waxing of hair off of the body, wherever the hair is, can probably relate to when they pull that thing off, when they put that wax on your eyebrows, for example, and pull it off. It's a little painful. So imagine a rodent that's like hairy being stuck on a glue trap. But sometimes they are persistent enough and have a desire, enough desire to get off the trap, that they will risk the pain that it might cause and just rip themselves off the trap. So they can either do that, or the other choice is to just stay on the glue trap and ultimately die. But ultimately there's a choice involved. They have a choice as to whether they will risk experiencing some temporary pain versus just laying down and dying. And so when we are find ourselves in those situations where we feel stuck, we have some choices that we can make. We can either decide that we don't want to be stuck and that we are going to take the steps necessary to get unstuck, or we can just sort of stay stuck and just keep living as long as we can, um and then ultimately die. And that's not necessarily a physical death, but die mentally, die spiritually, um loathe our lives, loathe what we're doing. And so another situation, another example is, when traffic is gridlocked, when we're in a traffic jam. Sometimes in a traffic jam, you just have to kind of wait it out, but eventually there is going to be an off you're going to get to an off ramp. Eventually you'll get to a place where you can just take the next exit. And but if you are if you don't have a GPS that can kind of guide you around, or if you're not familiar with the area, sometimes when we're in a traffic jam, rather than risking taking that exit and maneuvering in a different direction, what we will do is just sit it out. We'll just kind of sit in the traffic. And so again, that's a choice. If you're able, when you get up to a place where you can take an off ramp, if you decide to take that off ramp, you can either do that and find your way, and the GPS will often help maneuver you around the traffic. Sometimes though, that them GPS, sometimes they take you right into traffic, it seems. But there is sometimes another way, but sometimes because we're not familiar with an area, sometimes because of fear of trying something new, fear of trying a different direction. If we're used to going the same route every day, um, and we become it becomes a habit for us, or we just fear switching it up sometimes. We just fear doing something different that might take us it might even take us a little bit out of the way, but ultimately, at least we're not sort of just sitting in traffic, wasting gas, wasting time. We are wasting away. So sometimes, this is just what happens to us in life. We are in situations. It could be, like I said before, it could be a job, it could be a relationship, whatever the case might be. We get into these situations where we feel stuck, and yet at the same time, we're afraid that if we get unstuck, if we take the opportunity to move in a different direction or take a different route than what we're used to, we become so comfortable being stuck that we just stay there. And if we just stay there, if we never strategize, if we never make a plan about how we are going to get out of that sticky situation, we will find ourselves just staying stuck and never moving, and never getting out of that situation. So I want to encourage you all and encourage myself at the same time that we don't have to stay stuck. We don't have to choose to stay in a stuck situation. But there are going to be times where when we find ourselves stuck, it's not going to be easy to get off the track. It's going to be difficult. We're going to have to violently move ourselves sometimes, and sometimes it's going to hurt. Sometimes it's going to cause us some pain. Sometimes it's going to cause us if not physical pain, it might cause us some psychological pain, because takes growth hurts sometimes. We've heard the expression growing pains. It's because that as we grow, there's some pain involved in the growth process. And sometimes, in order to get to the next area of life that we are called to go or called to be, we have to relinquish the fear, strategize, and make a plan for how we are going to move ourselves off the track, how we're going to get ourselves out of the traffic jam, how we are going to remove ourselves from the gridlock that can be life, because life can throw us in some gridlock situations. Life can throw us into these jams that we're hard pressed to find out how we're going to get out. There's other cars all around us. If we go off, if we, sometimes, people will just get off, try to go down down the side of the highway, the lane that's supposed to be sort of the where, the why am I blanking on that term? Somebody help me out here. But where the emergency vehicles are supposed to be able to use that lane to sort of travel down. Sometimes people will on the shoulder, thank you, Joy, on the shoulder of the road, sometimes, people will try to go down that route in order to make a shift. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do anything illegal, right, to get out of a stuck situation. But what I am suggesting is that sometimes you have to be creative in how you're going to maneuver around the traffic in a way that is both that is safe and legal, but that will help you reach the destination that you are wanting to reach and help you get out of that stuck situation so that you can flow in the direction that you feel like you need to go to make the changes in your life that you need to make to get unstuck. All right. So, how do we get unstuck? That's the $1,000,000 question. How do we get unstuck? And I would really like for you to engage with this tonight. If there are those of you who feel like you have been in stuck situations before and you feel like you've gotten yourself out, what were some strategies that you used? How did you get yourself out of those situations? How did you maneuver around the traffic? How did you get yourself off of that that glue trap? How did you do it? Because you never know what you did might be helpful to somebody else. All right. So here we're going to talk about how do we get unstuck, and I want you to, have some paper and a pen or something, or take notes in your phone. However you take notes, um, I'd like for you to you know, to just think about some of these things that I'm saying if you feel like you're in a stuck situation. And I see that Joy mentioned a couple of ways that she has used to get unstuck is therapy, one, and just try. I love that, Joy. Just try. Sometimes we get so stuck that we don't even just try. And, one question to ask yourself is, what is the absolute worst thing that can happen if I try? But not only think about what is the worst thing that can happen if I try, but what if I don't try and if I did try, it could have worked? Think about that. What's the worst thing that can happen if I don't try? Right? It could have actually worked, but I let fear stop me from trying. All right. So, as with everything that that we talk about on Mind the Mental is about the mental, right? It's about taking care of your mental health. It's about being proactive about your mental health. Mind the Mental, I really started it for caregivers of people with depression. But but here on Mind the Mental, we talk about just about all things minding the mental, right? All the different ways, different situations that we might find ourselves in that can cause us to have some kind of challenge with our mental health. And if we are in a situation where we feel stuck, very often what comes with that is depression around that feeling of being stuck. So, as with everything, the first thing that we have to do, um, that with getting unstuck, it starts with the thought that I want to get unstuck. I want you have to think to yourself and really mean it. I want to get unstuck. I've been stuck for however long I've been stuck. I'm tired of being stuck. I am ready to make a move so that I am not stuck anymore. But having a desire to get unstuck also means that you're willing to do the work that it takes to combat the fear and move forward in getting unstuck. So you got to think to yourself, I have a desire to get unstuck. But beyond the desire, you also have to have the willingness, the desire to do the work that it takes to get unstuck. It's not going to just kind of happen by happenstance. You have to strategize and you have to make a plan and you then have to make a move. All right. And so it's a verb. You got to do the work. All right. All right. So now in doing the work, ask yourself a couple of questions. The first thing I want you to ask yourself is this: why do I feel stuck? Why do I feel stuck? Is it that I'm bored? Is it that I'm not fulfilled? Um, is it that I feel like is all that I will ever have? Is it that I don't feel like I am deserving of more? Why? Why do I feel stuck? What is it that is causing me to feel the way that I feel? Write those things down. And then once you write those down, go over them, review what you've written. What are the reasons? Why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel stuck? And even if you don't really know, so you can feel stuck and not really feel like you have a reason necessarily to um to be stuck or to feel stuck. So even if it's that, write it down. Write down, I don't know. Because if you don't know, then that what that tells you is that you have some additional work to do to sort of try to think through that, to try to think through what is it in the recesses of my mind? What is it um internally that makes me feel stuck? And what does being unstuck look like? What does that look like for you? Does unstuck look like being in a new job? Does it look like being in a new relationship? What does that new job look like? What does that new relationship look like? What does it look like when you're not stuck? How do you envision that to be? And write it down. Why? Because to use a biblical scripture in Habakkuk, write the vision and make it plain upon the tablet so that the people who those who see it will run with it. And ultimately, that's what we want you to do. Ultimately, we want you to make a vision for how you're going to get unstuck. We want you to make that vision plain to yourself so that you can take it and run with it. You can get off that glue trap and not run a sprint, but run a marathon because you're going to pace yourself over time. You're going to give yourself some grace. You're going to do the exercises that you need to do to make those types of moves. You're going to do what you need to do to care for yourself. All right. So, after you think about the reasons that you feel stuck, okay, now, so which ones of those reasons are within my control to do something about? Which ones are in my control? I want you to circle the ones that you feel you have control over. What do you have control over? Because the things that you don't have control over, you need to put that in a separate bucket because you can't do anything about the things that you don't have any control over. You can only control you. So if there's something, if one of your reasons that you feel stuck involves the actions of somebody else, there's nothing you can do about that. And so what you have to focus on is what can you do about you? What can you do within yourself? How can you change your thinking and get yourself in the mindset that I don't have to stay stuck? I can do what is within my control to make a move. And not only can I, but I'm going to. Sit back and watch me. All right? So, which ones can you realistically do something about? And then give yourself a timeline. What can I realistically do something about in the next day, week, months, year, years? Think about your own timeline realistically. What is it that I can do? What small steps can I take toward the thing that I need to get unstuck from, or toward getting unstuck from the thing that I feel like I'm stuck in? So, you know, put your own timeline, put your own goals. So, for example, here's an example of this exercise. So, if your stuck is, I feel stuck in my job, all right? Why do you feel stuck in your job? I feel stuck in my job because what? I'm no longer fulfilled there. I need money. I got to pay the bills, right? I don't know what else I would do if I didn't work here. Like, what are the reasons? What is keeping you stuck in that particular job? And then, okay, what can I realistically do within the next days, months, weeks, whatever your timeline is, to try to make a move to change where I work or where I feel like I am stuck? You can do a few things, right? There might be a few things you think about doing. You might apply for a different position in the same company, depending on where you are. You might go on, go on LinkedIn or different places and look for other opportunities that might serve you better, that might better suit who you are and what your passion is. What is your passion? What are you passionate about? And what are the things that you can do um to make money in the things that you're passionate about? Because when you're passionate about something, you'll do it whether you make money or not. And very often when you do that, it just kind of opens doors where you can make a living from the things that you're passionate about so that you don't feel like you're stuck in a dead end job. You're stuck in a position where you can't see yourself going any higher, and you just desire to make another move. A lot of times what happens is the reason that we stay stuck in jobs a lot of times, yeah, we have to pay bills, right? But a lot of times we're scared. We are scared to take a chance to go somewhere else. Why? Because we know the job we're doing. We it's on autopilot at this point. I know what I'm doing. I can do it, with my eyes closed. I already know the people. I know the good and the bad and the ugly of the company. Like I know where I'm at right now. So I feel stuck, but I'm just going to stay here. That's not really being stuck. That's really choosing to be stuck. but that's not really stuck because you can apply to something else. You can, if you are, I'm not suggesting that everybody, necessarily has the ability to be an entrepreneur, but one of the reasons actually that I started my business is that I'm passionate about working with other people to help them to get unstuck. I'm passionate about especially people over 45, and really closer to that 50 and over age. I'm passionate about showing them that they don't have to feel like they don't have anything left to give because of their age. I enjoy that. I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about being a mental health advocate. And so what I did, even, when I felt like I was not feeling fulfilled, in my 9 to 5, it prompted me to start a business, to start a nonprofit, to do the things that I'm really passionate about in order to work my way into doing those things full time. I haven't gotten there yet, right? It's a process. And those who are entrepreneurs, that that's not an easy journey. So, what I suggest to anybody who feels stuck in a job to just haphazardly just quit. Some people have done that and they've been successful at that, but I am a fan of strategizing and making a plan. But if you don't strategize, if you don't, like I said at the beginning, number one starts with your mind. If you don't put the seed in your mind that I can get unstuck, if you don't put the seed in your mind that it might even cause me a little pain, but I can rip myself off of this glue trap, right? I can maneuver my way around this traffic jam. It might cause me some pain in the moment, but how much more pain might it cause you if you don't try? How much more harmful, how much more detrimental might it be if you don't take the opportunity to try in the beginning? So try to say to yourself on a daily basis, I can get unstuck. I don't have to stay in this situation. So, okay, what do you need to do to get out of this situation? First of all, I need to change my mindset. How do I change my mindset? I change my mindset by removing that negative talk from my mind. I change my mindset by stopping telling myself what I can't do, what I'll never be, and replacing that with this is what I can do, this is what I do have control over, and because I do have control over this, this is the thing I'm going to change. This is the step I'm going to take in the direction of getting unstuck. I'm not going to stay here. You have to make that decision. I will not stay stuck. I'm not going to stay stuck in this job for the rest of my life. I'm not going to stay stuck in a relationship that I know is harmful to me. I am not going to do those things. I am not going to stay on this glue trap and just die. I'm not going to just stay here and accept that I'm stuck. I am going to make a strategy and I'm going to make a plan to get out of this stuck situation. And sometimes it might be more difficult to do on your own. Sometimes you might have to make the investment in a life coach. Selfish plug. Call me. I'm here, right? Or somebody else. Doesn't have to be me. It could be somebody else that who is a life coach, or that you feel like is in line with what you're needing. You might need a therapist to help you strategize ways to get unstuck, because sometimes the reason that we're stuck is because and the reason that we tell ourselves that we have to stay stuck is because of trauma that we have faced in our past. Trauma that we might have faced in our childhood, trauma that we might have faced even in our adulthood, that has put in our minds that we don't have a choice, that we have to stay stuck, that we'll never be able to get out of this situation. Sometimes you have to visualize seeing yourself out of that situation of being stuck. If you're stuck in a situation, what does it look like to not be in that situation? Visualize where you would like to be. Where would you like to see yourself? How do you see yourself when you are as one who is not stuck? Again, what does that look like for you? And then do the work. It might not happen in a day, it might not happen in a week, it might not even happen in a year, right? But you have to put forth the effort to at least try. At least try to figure out, how can I get out of this situation? What do I need to do? What is the work that I have to put in to get unstuck? All right. So, again, the first step is the mindset. You got to get your mind to agree, because our minds do what we tell it to do. We do have control over these minds that we have, right? What I understand about the mind is that the mind likes to form patterns. It likes to be able to be on autopilot. And so if you feed your mind with negative thoughts about yourself, if you feed your mind with, even if you were, if somebody in your past said negative things about you that continues to be on loop, on replay in your mind, you have to get, you have to take care of that. And that might require a therapist. All right. That might require beyond a life coach, right? I'm a life coach, but I'm not a therapist. I am not a licensed mental health practitioner. Like I always say, right up front with that. I am an advocate, but if you want to see a licensed mental health therapist, or mental health practitioner, I'm gonna send you somewhere else, to somebody who I know has the training to do that. But as a certified life coach, I do have the ability to help you to kind of walk through some things in your life that you want to change. And I'm gonna sit in the passenger seat while you drive, but I'm just gonna help you a little bit to see your way clear. So change the mindset, do the work, ask yourself the questions. Why do I feel stuck? Write it down. Of the reasons that I feel stuck, which ones are within my control? Which ones can I do something about? And of the ones that I can't control, which ones can I realistically do something about? Take a step toward doing something about now, right? Um, what can I do in the near future versus what might take a little longer? Formulate a strategy, a plan, write it down, write it down, write it down, go back to it, refer to it, edit if you have to. I'm also an editor. And I'm one who edits myself to death. I'm telling you, when I write something, I'm always editing myself. Um, so that's how it is in life. Sometimes we got to edit ourselves. We have to edit our plan, edit our path, edit how we are going forward and how we're doing certain things. And so sometimes it might take a few passes, but if you don't at least put forth the effort to try, at minimum to just try, then you're shortchanging yourself, and you're losing sight of the fact that this can be a beautiful life. It can be a fulfilling life. And even if I'm 50 plus, I still have enough in me to move life forward and to do the work that I might need to do to make some new plans, put forth some new efforts. I might change my career. I thought about doing a whole career change at 50. I didn't do the whole career change um for really spiritual reasons because the Holy Spirit was like, that's not the direction I want you to go. So I'm a minister and I am obedient to the Holy Spirit because I have enough times not been obedient that I've really gotten myself into some humdingers. So and now I just avail myself. I really avail myself to the Spirit to Lord, just use me however, wherever, whenever. And so he led me down a different path where I am able to live out my passion. Part of which is this right here. If I can help one person, I'm not somebody that's looking to be an internet phenom or whatever. I'm not. That's. I really don't need that. But what I really hope in all of this is that somebody could be one person, whoever it reaches and whoever it touches, that they're helped in some kind of way, that they benefit from the things that I'm saying, and that they are able to, use some of what I have shared to take action, to take action. I'm gonna say it one more time, to take action. It's a verb you got to do. You have to do so that you can be. All right. So I hope that you all got something out of this tonight. And if you're feeling stuck, again, if you're somebody who has ever been in a stuck situation, put in the chat, share with everybody else. What are some other things? What are some things that you were able to do to get unstuck? Because it might be a benefit to somebody else. All right. So thank you for tuning in to Mind the Mental Monday tonight. I'll be back next week. And I look forward to your interaction, your engagement. Here are the things I need you to do. I need you to go to my YouTube channel at Benita Weathers 329 on YouTube. Subscribe. Doesn't cost you a thing to subscribe to the channel, okay? So I'm asking you all to help me out with that. I want you to subscribe, but I also want you to ask your friends to subscribe. I need you to engage with me, right? So if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, even on YouTube, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, I need for you to engage. Comment. Let me know if the content is helpful to you. Let me know if it's helpful. If you're interested in um, thinking about hiring me as a life coach, I'm happy to hop on the phone with you or Zoom and do a 30-minute free session, and just we can go from there. But what I do want you to do is I want you to be fulfilled in your life. I don't want you to be stuck. I want you to know that you don't have to just lay on the glue trap and die. You have the wherewithal, you have the strength within you to get up. It might hurt, it might pull some hair, and it might hurt, but that pain is temporary. If you stay in a stuck situation for the rest of your life, that's pain, that's mental pain. And sometimes that mental pain is just as harmful as physical pain. So if you can get up, and even if it's temporary pain, if you can get up, do the work, create a strategy, create a plan, and then move in the direction that you need to go. God bless everybody. I hope to see you next week. Have a wonderful and blessed rest of your week. Good night.